take you through our presentation a little bit and then be able to answer any questions that you have about the upcoming meter replacements. So one of the things I want to convey is that this isn't something that's just sudden and new. Nearly 20 years ago, we replaced our meters and put in a drive-by system. And we knew at that time that the meters would have a planned service life, as would the batteries in the radios that are attached to them. So here we are 20 years later, it's time. So in 2024, we did a thorough assessment of our meters and our meter reading technology with Diameter Services, who is a consultant in this niche area. And we published an RFP in 2024 and received 6 bids and evaluated them. And Core & Main was the successful proposal. And their solution includes using census meters, but also VEPO metering, which is a professional installation service provider. And I'll let Josh talk a little bit about Core & Main.
Okay, so again, Josh Ordway from Core & Main. Thank you for letting us be here tonight. Core & Main as a company has been 100+ years in business. We have a lot of experience in these types of projects. We have over 5,500 employees throughout the company. We are a large company, a publicly traded company, 6.7 billion in annual sales. We just tell you that to let the Portland Water District know that we do have resources to support a large project like this. And we have all of the employees and expertise needed for these types of projects. We have lots of customers nationwide that have gone through these types of implementations. And then just in New England alone, we have over 27 different deployments in different communities that are similar to what Portland Water District's going to be implementing. The actual water meters, which you guys will get more information on these in a little bit, but we have installed over 400,000 of those water meters, as well as 360,000 of the radio devices that will be collecting and sending the data from those water meters. So this is not a new product or new technology. It's been tried and proven many years in the making. The base stations there, those are the devices that will collect the information from the individual radios that are attached to the water meters. So we have dozens and dozens of those that have been installed throughout New England as well.
Okay. So just kind of summarizing again why we're replacing our water meter equipment. Again, it's reached the end of its planned service life. And the new meter reading well, back up. The advanced meter infrastructure is basically replacing a drive-by system with antennas that talk to the meters. And in doing this, we can provide enhanced customer service. Eventually, you will be able to see hourly read information on your meters. You'll be able to set alerts for leaks, or if you're a snowbird going away and you want to know if any water is going through your meter, you'll be able to receive that. Emergency response capabilities will improve because we'll have information much sooner than what we get doing a once-a-month drive-by read. And the new meters are quiet because there's no moving parts, and they also have a greater range of detection. So that is both on the low side as well as the upper side.
So many of you might be asking, what exactly is advanced metering infrastructure? So this is just a high-level picture of how these systems work. On the left-hand side there, that's the actual water meter itself. The water meter is connected to a radio frequency device. Those devices transmit the data that's collected from the water meters. That data is typically hourly use data. It sends those pieces of information, as Peter mentioned, to an antenna network. And then the antenna actually forwards all of that information back to the Portland Water District. PWD will be able to evaluate that data, look at alerts and alarms that are coming through the system, and provide a lot of that information back to customers. However, in addition to PWD being able to review that hourly use data, customers will be able to do that as well through something called a customer portal. So this will allow individual end user customers to actually log into a piece of software via the website and actually view your own hourly consumption data. And you'll be able to receive those alerts and alarms like leak alarms, backflow alarms, burst pipe alarms, things of that nature, right to your cell phone. Okay. Then also that data will be utilized to generate the bills for the customers, which customers will also be able to review that detailed information, ask any questions of the water district, and then also be able to pay bills online. Okay. So continuing on, we kind of touched on some of these things. So the water meters are read automatically 6 times per day, but in those 6 times that contains the hourly data packets necessary to provide the hourly reads. We will be able to detect continuous consumption or leaks in parentheses. So if your meter sees continuous consumption for a certain period of time, it will flag it and send an alert or an alarm. We can identify reverse flow instances. So if water is flowing backwards from a property, we'll be able to identify that, which can prevent potential water contamination and unhealthy situations. Also, these systems ensure fair and accurate billing because we're able to capture much more frequent data. You're able to understand usage at a much more detailed level. It also will help PWD reduce their carbon footprint because they won't have to roll trucks or float boats to read meters, and in some instances be able to troubleshoot some of that technology as well. Pressure monitoring will be another capability of this system. So the water meters themselves have pressure sensors and temperature sensors. Currently, PWD only has about 24 to 30 different pressure devices throughout the system. This can help prevent things like main line breaks, low pressure situations throughout the entire district. Okay. Want me to start?
Going about that.
Okay.
One side.
Yeah, that'd be great. So we have some product samples here, but you can see on the screen, these are the 2 different types of residential meters that you will see coming into your homes. The one on the left is called the Sensus iPearl. That again is a static water meter, so there's no moving parts, extremely high low flow sensitivity. And then we have the Sensus Ally meter. Now, the iPearl meter has actually been being installed at the PWD since 2016. So this is technology that the district is used to. The Sensus Ally meter also is the same measuring technology as the iPearl, but in addition, it has pressure and temperature sensors built right into the meter. And it also has a remote shutoff valve, which will allow PWD to service accounts, in particular, snowbird type accounts where people are leaving for the winter and they want their water shut off. Instead of PWD having to travel to the islands in particular, they'll be able to turn that service off right from the office here. These are pictures of the commercial and industrial meters. On the left is the Sensus Cordnell meter. Again, this is a static meter, or it has no moving parts. All of the meters, the new meters that are going in, have 20-year accuracy warranties on the meter. So that guarantees that the meter will stay accurate for the next 20 years. So that's on the Cordnell and the previous meters that you saw on the screen before. The Omni meter on the right-hand side, this is a great meter that PWD has been using for years. There's quite a few of these out in the system. Some of them have not reached the end of their useful life. So you will notice some of these meters at certain properties, and PWD is going to continue to use that technology until the end of its useful life. Those meters, the Sensus Omnis, are about a 10-year battery on those meters, whereas the Cordnell is now a 20-year battery on those meters. So quite a bit of an advantage with the newer technology. Anything you want to add at all, Peter?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. These are the communication devices. So on the left-hand side, the white box, this is called a 510. This is what will be a majority of the installations throughout PWD. These are going to be mounted either on the inside of properties. A majority of them will be on the inside of properties in basements. And they will be connected directly to the water meters to collect all of that hourly usage data. In most situations, we are going to try to install them high up on the rafters near an exterior wall. There may be a small percentage of situations where that radio device has to be installed on the outside of the home if we can't get sufficient signal from inside the basement. The one there in the bottom right, the black one, that is going to be a much smaller in quantity. This is for pit set applications. And then the way we will determine which devices are needed are through pre-inspection visits. So you will, some of you that have commercial industrial properties or the larger meters. So any 1.5 and 2 meters that are in pits will require a pre-inspection so that the technicians can determine exactly what materials are needed to complete that installation. And then any folks that have 3-inch or larger meters will be required to have an inspection completed, regardless of whether they're in pits or inside a building. Okay. If the technician is on site and does the inspection and actually has the material with them to complete the installation of the new meter, they will do that on site so that it doesn't require a second appointment. But there may be instances where the technician might not have the required equipment to complete the installation, so they may have to schedule another time to come back.
So a project this size takes several years to get through, and we have a plan to step through our service territory in a very controlled manner, similar to when we did the installations 20 years ago. So we'll have certain areas that we release to Core and Main and VEPO metering, and in turn, they will communicate to those customers with a letter that explains that the customer can go online or call and set up an appointment so that their meters can be changed. So you see the areas here. We're not necessarily going in the exact numerical order. We're still determining some of that, but I can tell you, like on the islands, we're thinking of May and into June, trying to fit between when we're doing our seasonal activations out there and before it gets really crowded with the main summer and getting to and from the islands become a little more challenging. So what can you expect?
So what will happen during this project for the individual customer? So step one is everyone will be notified via a mailing when to schedule their meter replacement. There you will see information on the Portland Water District website, but you don't need to schedule anything until you receive a letter in the mail that will look just like this. So this will provide information about the project. There are 2 different ways when you receive this letter to be able to schedule your appointment. You'll also notice, I'm just going to point out the QR code there in the middle of the document. That QR code can be scanned and it will take customers to a website where they can schedule their appointment online. Or there's also an 800 number that the customers can call, an actual call center to speak to somebody on the phone and schedule their appointment that way. Once you schedule your appointment, customers will receive a confirmation of the appointment, typically via email or a cell phone text message, depending on the information the customer wants to provide. They will also get a reminder 24 hours in advance of their appointment. And then the day of their appointment, they will get a notification in real time of when the technician is on their way to the property. And will also have a picture of the technician available for the customer. So this is for safety reasons to make sure that folks are letting the right people in their homes to do these meter changeouts. This is an example of what the technician will look like when they arrive, and you will receive a picture similar to that on the left as well when they're on their way. But the technician will knock on the door, identify themselves. They will have an identification badge on their front left chest, as well as a safety vest like you see in the picture. All of their vehicles will also be marked with the logo that you see there underneath the picture. Those will be on their vehicles. They're magnetic signs on all of the Vepo metering vehicles. Okay. The water service will be briefly interrupted. It's typically 30 minutes or less, so it's a fairly quick process to change out these meters. The technician will test the meter and ensure that everything's working, make sure there's water service back to the property. Customers do not need to pay anything out of pocket during this installation process. Okay. I don't have to worry about that. Someone 18 years of age or older must be present for the meter installation. Again, just so that there's an adult on property and all safety concerns are taken care of. And make sure your water meter is accessible. So if you get a chance before you schedule your appointment, look to see where your water meter is. Just pretend that you have to be able to put two hands on that water meter. If you can't because it's behind drywall or it's in a vanity or something like that, you will have to make some preparations to make that meter accessible. To you, Peter.
So one of the things that some of you may have noticed is some changes on the bill that are beginning to appear in preparation for these newer meters. So the first is that you're going to see in this usage chart, instead of just seeing whole numbers like 4, in this case, you're going to see 4.00. And you'll see that also down here in the meter information on our current meters, so the read and the usage. Once we change your meter, because they're capable of measuring at a much smaller level of detection, you'll start seeing that that 0.00 being populated with other values. In this example, like 4.57. And that will also show as a total. In this case, there's the meter change that happened. So the old meter at 9 HCF and the new meter at 4.57 for a total of 13.57 HCF. And we'll be billing on that fractional amount. So that's one thing you're going to see. This bill is just from our test database. So you see that it has 173 days in the read period. So the usage is much higher. And plus I'm playing around with numbers. This is not what you should expect, a huge jump in your bill, but we are capable of reading much more accurately. And so you are going to see this decimal portion of the bill. Currently, when we're measuring, we measure in those whole 100 cubic feet, right? So sometimes you get the same usage month after month after month until 748 gallons flows through and it clicks that 100 cubic foot dial again. In this case with the new meters, you're going to see this fractional component coming in. So your bill will fluctuate a little bit month to month, but it should fluctuate close to each month instead of some level and then a jump and then level and a jump. So 10% of our customers have sub-meters. And this is a meter that measures usage that's not going back into the sewer system. So if you're irrigating your lawn, for an example, and you have a sub-meter before your outside spigot. And so that usage that's measured by the sub-meter is used to deduct usage when calculating the sewer bill. So customers that have a sub-meter can expect to receive a letter from the Portland Water District that talks about the sub-meter, and in it will also provide the year-by-year usage since 2018 of your sub-meter, so you get a sense of how it's worked for you over the years. And then you can make a determination if you think there's a value to keep your submeter or to discontinue it. And in that letter, you'll receive detail that's using your current 2024 rates, I guess, and saying this is the value. So in this case, this customer who had 11 HCF in 2024 through their submeter effectively saved $50 having that submeter in that year. But another customer whose usage pattern is different would be losing money. They'd be spending nearly $23 a year just to keep the submeter. So ultimately, it's up to the customer to think about how they use their submeter over the next number of years and if they want to keep it or not. So you can opt out of your submeter being updated. So what can customers do to prepare? Is this me? You, all right.
So we talked a little bit about this before, but participation in this program is required by PWD. Please make sure your meter and submeter is accessible. So again, if it's behind furniture or a wall or something of that nature, make sure you can access it. Please make sure you have somebody that's 18 years of age or older present during the appointment. But then also for more information, you can go to the PWD website and there's a specific page dedicated to this AMI and water meter changeout program.
So just to summarize a little bit, the benefits the customer and community receive from this is the increased accuracy in the billing, the hourly consumption of data that you'll have access to when we publish on the new portal, which will be late 2026 or early 2027. So even though some customers will have their new meters for a while, it'll be a little bit before we get that out there. Faster leak detection. So we've talked a lot about this, but if you think about it as a customer today, you usually find out about a leak when we bill you, right? In this new world, we'll be able to see that there's continuous flow going through your meter. You can set alerts, we can set alerts, and we can actually address it before the bill. So there is a lot of potential there. So improved service, faster response times, better information. This is a more efficient way to go about getting reads than driving by. And top of that, we have, you may not be aware of this, but we have thousands of turnover, people moving out and people moving in, and we have to get a read for that change of ownership. We won't have to roll a truck anymore to go get a read that day. We can just look in the system and bring the read over. And because we're not driving around as much, we're making a carbon footprint and benefit. And then we can also be more aware of how water is being consumed throughout the district and lead to, working with our infrastructure in different ways. So there's a lot about this information that's going to change the way Portland Water District can operate. So we'll take questions